Hello, this is not Seth Meyers. This is not your weekend update, but my name is Gary, and I'm going to talk to you today about. I'm going to talk about pyramids one more time. This is my last time, I swear. I'm going to talk about pyramids. I'm going to talk about the Pyramid Code. This video I finished watching this week, and its summary was awesome, and I just want to bring that up. And I'm going to tie that into a Nickelback song. Yes, I'm going to tie it into a Nickelback song. I'm a Canadian. I don't necessarily like Nickelback. I did go to a concert in 2002, and they were pretty rockin', and I almost got burned by their pyrotechnics. But I'm going to tie that into a Nickelback song. Pyramids, Nickelback song, and meditation. No one else would ever tie those three things together, but I'm going to do that because they came up for me this week. Oh, and Saturday Night Live because Jim Carrey was awesome. I was so excited about his opening monologue, and I was so disappointed by his Elvis impersonation. He did this Elvis skit. I didn't love it, but the rest of it was so friggin' funny. His Matthew McConaughey stuff in his Lincoln car was so friggin' funny. It was great. So, Saturday Night Live, Pyramid Code, Nickelback. Anything else? Meditation, love. I tie it all together. So, with the Pyramid Code, they basically summed it up. The Pyramid Code, this movie, I loved how they summed it up. And it resonated with my heart. And the reason why it resonated with is they talked about how back in the day, is the true story of the Egyptians really told? Has it really been told? Are there all kinds of mysteries surrounding it? I think there's all kinds of mysteries. How does that affect us today? The mystery, how it affects me is could you imagine a culture that's lived for 10,000 years? That lived for 10,000 years. It lived for 10,000 years. It thrived. People, they lived abundantly. Their definition of abundance might not have been a high, tall, straight. Maybe it was a tall skyscraper like a pyramid, but it might not have been about consumerism and materialism. They summed it up by saying, what if we lived in a culture that was focused more on spiritual consciousness, focused more on like we're only as rich as the poorest person in our community. I was taught that by First Nations people. It's not hard for me to imagine that a culture could live for 10,000 years and thrive and do well and live in harmony with the earth and live in harmony with each other and really take care of problems by, in a really loving way. I spent 7 years with First Nations people in their ceremonies, living with them, going to their ceremonies, raising consciousness, getting in touch with spirit or love in my heart or God within, not just like a God like in an afterlife, but a God present and conscious in all living things. So spirit consciousness, a spirit or consciousness in every living thing, and everything is sacred. So I can imagine living like that. So Nickelback, they talk about we're on a edge of a revolution. This is a new song, and I heard it on the radio. I'm like, whoa, they're talking about revolution. What's the song about? So I listened to it. I don't listen to Nickelback that often. But Jim Carrey's very into consciousness. If you look on YouTube, you hear him talk about Eckhart Tolle or him finding enlightenment or him finding awakening to nothingness or aliveness. It's pretty awesome to see like such a funny guy talk about spirituality and stuff. So how do we talk about spirituality? How am I going to tie this in? Spirituality and Nickelback, we're on the edge of a revolution. Now, Nickelback's talking about a revolution. But what's that revolution going to look like? I don't necessarily want to revolt against society, but let's just say hypothetically, society, let's say if four families, I've heard that four families run a majority of business in the world. And they're tied to oil business, they're tied to the media, what we see on TV, they're tied to agriculture and farming and let's say that they basically influence us and run society. For me personally, I want to meditate. I meditate because what I see on the outside doesn't always match what I feel on the inside. So I really want to be guided not by the outside, by outside forces. I'm not into being controlled. And my feeling is you can't be controlled. A person can only be controlled if they allow themselves to be controlled. I want to stay free. I want to be spiritually free. My purpose of being alive is to be alive, is to feel alive, is to express my uniqueness, my differentness, not try to be different, but just be myself. And if that's different, I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter if you're okay with it, but maybe you are. Maybe you're different too. I would encourage people just to be themselves. It's going to be different than me. It's going to be different than what you see on TV, and I think that's okay. So I don't want to be influenced by controllers or what Jim Carrey referred to it a lot in his skits. So really being inspired by spirit, by love, and by what's inside. So I meditate. Osho, this interesting guy, he talks about using spirituality or meditation as a doorway to higher states of consciousness, higher states of love, and then putting that love into a revolution, putting that love into action. Now, how Nickelback actually thinks we're on an edge of a revolution and what that looks like, I don't know. But the revolution I want to be a part of, if it is a revolution, or if this is just like ascension, or this is just like people becoming more spiritually aware, because I think a lot of people are waking up right now. They're waking up to spirituality, but what are they waking up to, and how is that going to look? How is that going to change? For me personally, oh, and I got to show you, I dug up my front lawn a couple days ago. It is a mess, but I got 1,000 square feet of like a big ass garden that's going to happen next year. So that's a part of the revolution for us. It's making the change now. I'm not going to wait for Nickelback to tell me what the revolution is going to look like. I'm not going to wait for Jim Carrey. I'm not going to wait for anybody. And I don't think anybody should. I think if we just follow our hearts in love, it might look a little bit different. So we're going to embrace difference, follow our hearts, or I'm going to embrace different, follow my heart, and start that revolution. Not even revolt. I'm not raging against the machine anymore. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just going to let love be my guide. And I feel like, part of the garden is I love to garden. It happened naturally to me. I kind of got a job and I got into gardening, so I love it. And I went from plants to perennial plants to flowers to food this past year, and now we're just going for it. We're gonna bring our kids up with healthy food, and not I don't want my kids eating sprayed foods and stuff, and the earth being damaged by that. I think it's really simple to go organic gardening. It's really simple to grow healthy food and to make a healthy plant which produces abundantly. It's a really easy thing to do. So it's something I've learned this past year. So that's something I'm going to go with. So I'm going to show you a picture of that. So just to summarize this video, I'm going to keep it short today, is I'm not going to wait to revolt. I'm not going to wait for anybody else to tell me what this new life is going to look like. I'm going to listen to my heart, follow my heart. And just love the earth and love what we do, and just put that in, do that with my family and express that with our kids, and just live that. We started this choir, we sing like these pop songs and stuff, singing like the Happy Song by Pharrell and all these things. We're just doing things together as a family in a loving way, in an enjoyable way. Spirituality doesn't have to be so serious. You can get on the internet, look into spirituality, and all this stuff about conspiracy theory and how all this stuff can be really intimidating, really scary, but I'm not really into fear. I'm really into being guided by love. So I feel like if I'm spiritually alive, if I'm physically healthy and spiritually alive and enjoying life, that no virus is getting me. And I don't think any virus has to get you either. So I don't have to, I'm not going to go around scared of that stuff. I'm just going to go along healthy, loving, and trusting that, we're all going to die someday. Each and every living thing is going to die someday. And I'm just going to trust that as long as I love, that, when I'm on my deathbed, if I have a chance to be on a deathbed, that I'm going to be fulfilled knowing that I followed my heart. I stayed true to my soul, that I loved, and followed my dreams. So power to you, following your dreams, following love. And that is it. Did I tie up Nickelback? Did I tie up Pyramids? Saturday Night Live? Love Jim Carrey. Love.